Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the Speed Mooting Partners in Crime podcast. My name is John Dove and I'm a host of the podcast alongside Hayley Crombleholme. Today we had a slightly shorter episode again as I've been away at trial this week, but we still had a fun episode and discussed a variety of different topics. We discussed the Watson direction in relation to criminal law. In relation to the commercial awareness corner, Hayley was discussing the Section 21 notice and the potential future for the Section 21 notice. We also discussed some of our upcoming events. So, of course, the full criminal trial that you can conduct at the Advocacy Club during the summer. We discussed our upcoming National Speed Mooting Competition Autumn Cup. And finally, we dealt with some of your questions. It was a fun episode. We enjoyed recording it and we hope you enjoy listening. Welcome to the podcast.
Oh, look at that. We're laughing already. Laughing before I've even finished my first word.
Let's start again.
Hello and welcome to the Partners in Crime Speed Mooting Podcast.
Welcome.
I'm John.
And I'm Hayley.
And welcome along. So for those that are new, we have a numbering system where each episode is given a number based on where it falls. And we go chronologically, believe it or not. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5.
Just in case you don't know what chronologically means. Good example there.
So we're up to episode 15.
Episode 15.
So if this is episode 15, Hayley, for how many weeks have we been recording podcasts?
14 weeks.
14 weeks. Yeah. If you want to know why that's funny, listen to last week's episode 14.
Where we've been recording for 13 weeks.
Believe it or not. But the reason that the number is significant is because we like to name our episodes. It started with Formula 1 drivers, it spread into footballers, it spread into a few other bits and bobs.
It's going to run out eventually, isn't it?
Well, it might do. So once we get to episode 99, then yeah, we're going to run out. But I reckon...
There's 90... People have numbers that go up to like 99.
In Formula 1 they did.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
So this guy who you got this idea from, the podcast, what number is he on?
He is on 38.
Oh, okay, and he's still doing it. He's still managing.
He's had exactly the same conversation. He said the same thing. He's like, "Oh, what happens when we get past number 99?"
Luckily, we've got a little bit of time.
We got
before
time.
We have to worry
We've got
about
a couple
that.
of years before we encounter that problem, so we'll encounter that one when we come to it. But the problem for today is that, as far as I know, and there might be, and correct me if I'm wrong, if I am wrong, on the current numbering system, I don't think there is a number 15.
It's in Formula 1.
As in Formula 1.
Yeah.
So we did a little bit of a search before, and there's not that many famous number 15s, are there?
No, I mean, I couldn't find any.
Yeah, so the one we did find, a chap called Patrick Mahomes. So
Yeah.
I think he's pretty big in the American football at the moment. The only other significance of number 15 is Seb Vettel's first season at Red Bull 2009. He carried number 15 on his car.
Oh, well, that's good.
He's already had one, but do you know what? Seb, you can have a second.
He's that cool.
He's that cool, he can have a second episode. So welcome to episode 15, the Patrick Mahomes and Sebastian Vettel special.
Welcome.
We've laughed, we've joked, we've talked numbers. Let's get into the business of law.
Let's go.
Once again, slightly shorter episode because we went on holiday this week, but I have been away at trial on the road, life of the barrister. For those of you who are aspiring barristers, this will be your world one day. So you'll have weeks away in hotels and all the rest of it. So I've been away this week. It's Thursday evening. I've literally just got home. We want to get this episode out for you on Friday, so it's going to be a shorter one. We'll get it edited and get it out for you tomorrow. Or, well, when I say tomorrow, by the time you listen to it, it'll be today.
Yeah.
But John from the past is telling you it'll be tomorrow.
Yeah, it's got to be short. It's going to have mercy on me that has to go and edit it and get it ready and get it released.
Exactly. I've been relieved of those duties now. Thankfully so, really, because to be fair, I'll give you credit, Hayley. The production quality is a lot better than it was this time a few months ago. So, props, as the kids say. So, without further ado, let's jump in, Hayley.
Let's Go.
What's our first item of business?
So the first thing we're going to talk about is something that we did speak about on last week's episode, but it's getting so much traction.
Go on.
I'm really excited about it, so I want to talk about it again.
Let's talk about it again, Hayley.
Advocacy Club, the summer special,
Oh, yes.
the criminal trial.
The criminal trial. So, you know, most people when they go to university, they say one of three things. They either want to be Harvey Specter and everyone else off suits. They want to be commercial lawyers. They want to be the chap off that film, can't think what his name is, but, you know, human rights lawyer.
Mark Darcy.
No, not him. It's a really old film.
Oh.
I'd never even heard of the film.
Do you know who Mark Darcy is?
No.
No? Of Bridget Jones?
Oh, yeah.
He's a human rights barrister.
Yeah, I believe he's based on a real-life human rights barrister.
Isn't he based on, can we say it?
I don't know if we can say. Well, of course
Sorry,
we can say it. Of course we can. It's not political one way or the other to say it, is it? Yeah. What am I thinking?
He's apparently based on Keir Starmer,
I
isn't
believe
he?
so. Yeah, that's what I've heard. I don't know whether it's true or not.
I also heard that people were saying that the secret barrister's Keir Starmer.
Yeah, that's been going around on Twitter this week.
I don't think either of them are true.
I don't think either of those are true. To be fair,
But
I don't.
it's fun.
Yeah.
If I was Keir Starmer, I'd be loving that.
Yeah, Keir, if you're listening, drop us a comment. Let us know what you're thinking.
And if you are the secret barrister, you can tell us. We won't tell anybody.
Yeah, we won't say anything at all.
So yeah, Advocacy Club.
Advocacy Club, yeah.
Sorry. One of three things.
So one of three things. They either want to be commercial lawyers, they want to be human rights lawyers, or they want to be criminal barristers. Other forms of law are available, but as a general rule, they're the three things when people are 18 and going to law school. That's what they want to do. So I imagine there are many of you listening who want to be criminal barristers. Well, if you do, here's your chance. This is your chance to step into the shoes of a criminal barrister. This is your chance to conduct a criminal trial. So how's it going to work? Well, 3 sessions spread across the summer, July, August and September. The final Tuesday of the month, 7:30 p.m. on Zoom. For each session, we'll send you the papers a week in advance. Papers are the same for each, effectively, so you have them all there. And what you will do is, the first session, you will give the opening speech on behalf of the prosecution. So everyone will do that, because there's only really a prosecution opening speech. Session 2, witness handling. So you'll get to do a piece of evidence in chief and a piece of cross-examination. And then in the final session, you will conduct the closing speech. Ooh. So you'll get to see all parts and conduct all parts of a criminal trial.
It's very exciting because in reality, when would you get a chance to practice that? It's not something you do in university. It's not something you do in bar school, is it? So
not really. I mean, it's all.
Do you do it in your? Would you do something like that in your pupillage in your second six?
Oh yeah, you should be doing
in your
trials
pupillage
during your second six. Yeah. And to be fair, this is a magistrate's court trial, and during your second six, in all likelihood, if you're doing crime, it's going to be mag's court trials. I mean, depending on where you do your pupillage and, you know, the way returns are going and things like that, you might get some crown court trials during pupillage. You know, some people do, some people don't.
Yeah.
But if you're a criminal pupil, you will 100% be doing magistrate's court trials in second six.
Brilliant.
So this is exactly the kind of stuff you'll be doing during pupillage.
So most people during the second six, like, oh, I've no idea, I've never done this before. Well, if you've been an Advocacy Club member, you'll be like, I'm a dab hands at this. I've done this with Advocacy Club.
Done this before. You'd be walking into your pupillage like a silk.
So yeah, thanks to everyone that is liking and sharing this post, because it's proven very, very, very popular, which we love. So it's going around all the universities, going around all the societies, it's doing the rounds on LinkedIn, etc. So we look forward to welcoming you all at the next session. Yeah,
and it's always a fun one. This, I'm not going to give too much away about what the offence is, what the defence is. But it's fairly equal. You know, there's arguments for both sides in this one. Mm-hmm. So, you know, either side, whether prosecution or defence, have got a good argument on this one. So it's a really interesting case to conduct. So if you're interested in trial advocacy, give it a go.
Boom.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what's coming up. But we should also talk about what is in the past.
In the past. Well, this podcast is in the past if you're listening to it, because it's Friday now, or at some point after Friday if you're not listening to it on the day of release. and it's Thursday, so even we're in the past. But
this is a very random, scatty episode,
we're a bit
isn't
giddy
it?
today. I don't know why we're so giddy.
I think it's because we've been apart for like 4 or 5 days, and that's not very unusual for us.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think so.
Anyway, in the
past, and last week we attended Birkenhead Sixth Form College, and we attended their Futures Day. Mm-hmm. It was really well run, wasn't it?
It was amazing, yeah. We didn't really know what to expect because it was the first time we've collaborated with them, but it was a pretty huge event. There was lots of different speakers. There was a little fair there, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And you had the pleasure of being one of the keynote speakers.
I was one of the keynote speakers. So I delivered a talk, and my talk was called Against All Odds. And I spoke for 45 minutes about my really, really convoluted route into to the bar. I've mentioned this before. It took me 11 years from finishing my bar course through to finally practicing as a barrister. And part of the reason for that is because of, things I didn't know. Mm-hmm. Some mistakes I've made, and things I've picked up along the way that I could have done better back in the past. So, I talked about a lot of these things I've learned and how I could have really shortened my path. And I was talking to the students about what they can be doing now whilst they're in sixth form to basically straight line their path into their chosen career. Talked about some of the twists and turns it's taken me along the way and some of the experiences I've built and the opportunities I've had because I've taken such a weird and wonderful route. Mm-hmm. And then ultimately taking them through some sort of life lessons that I've learned. Yeah. But the culmination of the speech was, if I knew at the age of 18 what I know now, I could have had a much more straight line path to the bar and maybe, if not getting pupillage first time round, maybe second time round because of just things that I could have done differently. Yeah. I don't mean to say that, I don't mean to sound arrogant or anything by that. What I'm saying is I did a lot of things wrong. I did so many things wrong, and had I have done things differently, I would have had a much better CV. And would have been a better candidate when it came to apply for pupillage first time.
You probably would have been a better candidate, but would you have been the barrister that you are now?
Well, no, and this is the point. And I said, would I change a thing? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Life's taken me in that way for a reason. And I'm glad it did because it's given me so many other opportunities. There's no way that speed mooting would have been set up. There's no way we would have had this. This podcast wouldn't exist. The speed mooting competitions wouldn't exist. Advocacy Club wouldn't exist. Yeah. And I'd be a different person. I wouldn't have had the life experiences that I had. So I don't regret a thing, and I wouldn't change a thing. No. I'm glad that life took me on the path that it did. Yeah. So there's nothing I regret about it. So that was the point that I conveyed. I was sharing all these tips as to how they can succeed and how they can improve, but ultimately, yeah.
I liked one of the very first slides. We had a couple of illustrations on it, didn't we? And it was like everyone expects life to go in a linear path, but the reality is it's up, down, up, down, up, down before you finally get to the top. And that's a good thing because.
Yeah. And sometimes you need to take a step back to go forwards. Mm-hmm. I remember at one point doing my LPC, so I thought, all my academic studies are finished. A couple of years after finishing everything, I was like, do you know what? No, let's go and do another one. Let's go and do an LPC as well. So it's not when I say step back, it's not a step backwards, but you know what I mean.
It was a step
into academia. But it was very much a forward step because that's what got me qualified as a solicitor, and I've talked extensively about how much I enjoyed my time as a solicitor. Yeah. I may give a similar talk on the podcast at one point, talking about the intricacies of all the different things I've gone through over the years. But
an evening with John Dove.
An evening with John. It could be an event, that couldn't it?
Could be, yeah.
Yeah, could be.
Watch this space.
Watch this space.
But no, it was really good, and it's always nice to speak to different audiences, isn't it? Because we do have a handful, or more than a handful now, of A-level students with us in the Advocacy Club. But generally our main audience is university students and above, isn't it? Yeah. So it's really nice to get to people when they're a little bit younger and they can start the journey like so much sooner. So if you're watching this and you know any A-level students or got any connections with colleges, sixth forms, etc., send them our way because we love collaborating with them, and A-level students they can definitely join our Advocacy Club.
Of course they can, because that's the thing with Advocacy Club. some of the things that we're doing are pieces of advocacy that you'd only conduct on the LPC or the bar course, but we make sure we include such detailed explanatory notes that even if you've never studied that topic or whatever it might be, you can just pick up that piece of advocacy and run with it because we give you enough information to cover that.
And let's not forget that as well as the Legal Advocacy Club, we have the Public Speaking and Debating Club. So if you're only at AS level and you think, oh, I'm not sure I'm ready for law, or I'm not even sure if I want to do law, but I want to improve my public speaking skills, I want to build that foundation first, then you can, as many people do, just join the Public Speaking and Debating Advocacy Club.
And that's one of the things I was talking about, wasn't it? How important it is to have good public speaking skills, particularly as a lawyer or a barrister. It's self-evident why.
Yes.
But, alongside that, it's a good soft skill to have. And even as a solicitor, where you may not conduct courtroom advocacy, it can really help boost you because as a solicitor, you're always in team meetings. If you can speak up and speak eloquently, that really helps you stand out. As a solicitor, you're probably pitching for new work, particularly in the commercial sector. If you can deliver those pitches, deliver well to clients, it goes well.
Yes.
And just the general boost in confidence it gives you to know you're a good public speaker. So yeah, couldn't agree more.
So that was last week. Did we do anything else last week? All the days just blur together.
They really do. It just flies by, doesn't it? Absolutely flies.
We probably did, but I can't.
We probably
remember.
did.
Celebrated your brother's engagement. That's something else. That's something else we did.
We certainly did, didn't we? Yeah.
Went for breakfast to celebrate an engagement.
Yeah.
That's how the Doves do it. That's how they roll. But yeah, it was nice little weekend.
Good little weekend, yeah.
And then you went off to a place that we won't say because we never talk about your trials in real time, do we? But you went to a faraway land.
I went to a faraway land.
A few days.
I enjoyed it. It's a nice little place to stay.
Caught up with a colleague, didn't you, while you were there?
Yeah, caught up with an old friend. Also a regular speed mooting judge, actually, very good supporter of our competitions. Speaking to a fair few people in the roving room who, just like me, travel all over the place.
You're starting to get recognised in courtrooms everywhere you go, aren't you? You're the legal celebrity of the world.
It's funny the number of times people go, you're the advocacy guy, aren't you? The speed mooting guy. Or people go, I was in your advocacy club,
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's madness. I remember going to the roving room at Birmingham. The number of people I spoke to down there who I know just do speed mooting is crazy.
Because we've been going so long now, so there's people that joined us as students that are now into practice, years into practice.
Yeah.
And they're coming back and they're judging and they're telling people about Advocacy Club and sending people to us.
It's weird when I go against people who've been
Yeah.
they've been in the competition.
You help train them up and then you gotta compete. Love it.
Yeah, the Jedi against the Master. No, it's a small world, but no, it's always nice to see people I know from speed mooting.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's. I don't mind being on the road every now and again. It's good to sort of... Well, I'm always on the road anyway, travelling to different courts, but you're just away on location for a couple of days.
Yeah.
Not something you want to make a habit of and do all the time, but
No.
So we'll move on to the learning the law section.
Yes.
And we talked a little bit about hung juries and retrials, didn't we?
We did, yes.
So, and I mentioned the Watson direction, so I thought I'd just sort of clarify what the Watson direction is. So they're not very common, but normally they would be used if, I suppose I'll take a step backwards. So a jury is made up of 12 people. A jury should come to a unanimous decision, meaning for there to be a verdict, one way or the other, guilty or not guilty, the whole jury needs to be unanimous. So for the jury to convict, all 12 members of the jury need to say guilty. To acquit, all 12 members of the jury need to say not guilty. After a certain amount of time, the judge can say, I will accept a majority verdict, meaning 10-2.
Yep.
And that means that, for your verdict, you need to have 10 people agreed that it's either guilty or 10 people agreed that it's not guilty. Sometimes juries can deliberate and they're in a stalemate. And eventually the judge can give a Watson direction. So I'll read out the Watson direction from the Crown Court Compendium.
Okay.
So it's this is the Watson direction. Each of you has taken an oath or made an affirmation to return a true verdict according to the evidence. No one must be false to that oath or affirmation, but you have a duty not only as individuals, but also collectively. That is the strength of the jury system. Each of you takes with you into the jury box your individual experience and wisdom. You do that by giving your views and listening to the views of others. There must necessarily be discussion, argument, and give and take within the scope of your oath or affirmation. That is the way in which agreement is reached. If unhappily 10 of you cannot reach agreement, you must say so. So effectively telling the jury at that point, if they cannot reach an agreement, they can say so.
And does the judge read it like that, word for word each time?
Yeah, that's how it appears in the Crown Court Compendium. So that's exactly the direction that the judge would give. So it's when you get into the point whereby you're getting very close to the judge just discharging the jury and finding that there's a hung jury. So effectively, it's just a final direction that the judge can give to say, if you can't reach a majority, say so.
Is there rules or guidance on at what point the Watson direction happens? So is it they've been out for a couple of hours, let's do it now? Oh, they've been out for days, let's do it now? Or is it discretionary?
Yeah, it's discretionary. So it could, and I suppose it all depends on the seriousness of the trial and how long you'd expect the jury to be out. So I've had cases where a judge has given a Watson direction after 4 hours of deliberation. So it all really just depends.
Yeah, if it was like a murder trial, you'd probably let them deliberate for a couple of days.
Yeah, I don't think they give a Watson
half
direction.
an hour. Give them a Watson direction.
What's taking you so long? So it all just depends on the individual circumstances of the case.
Cool.
But they're not used that often, to be honest. And
judges prefer the unanimous verdict.
Yeah, that's it. Or at the very least, a majority.
Yeah.
So so not that common to be honest. But yeah, no, just thought, given that we mentioned it last week, I thought I'd
definitely
give some context to it.
Yeah, when I was editing it back, I thought, oh, what's a Watson direction? So I'm sure some of our listeners will have thought the same thing. So thanks for explaining it, John.
Filled in. Bit more knowledge for you.
Bit more knowledge. Knowledge is always good.
It is indeed.
So next up, we have our commercial awareness corner. So something pretty big, monumental, you might say, has happened in UK, England.
Get out of town.
The Euros.
The Euros.
No, I'm just kidding.
England kicked the ball forward.
There we go, England. Although, I did see a little interview with Kia today.
Yeah.
Apparently, if we win the Euros, we might get a bank holiday.
Well, I saw another thing as well. Apparently, there's an advert with Sir Geoff Hurst. And Geoff Hurst is writing a letter to... was he writing to the King? I don't know. Might have been writing to the King, asking for a bank holiday.
If we win.
Yeah.
And Kia was like... Well, let's see how it goes yet, because I was at the last final where we didn't win, so I'm not saying anything yet.
Yeah.
But it wasn't a no.
Wasn't a no?
So, fingers crossed. I think it is coming home,
You reckon?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, to be fair, they didn't play too badly last night.
No.
They didn't play badly at all.
We were watching at the Speakers Club meeting, weren't we?
Yeah, so at the Speakers Club, we normally meet on the second Wednesday of the month. Lo and behold, it was going to clash with the football, so we thought, might not be a great turnout.
Yeah.
So we decided, let's go to the Racket Club, who are a great... They've been a host of the Speakers Club for longer than I've been a member. Great venue in town, isn't it? And we went there to watch the match.
Yeah.
And they put a nice spread on for us.
They did. All the goodies, sausage rolls, spring rolls, all John Dove's favourites.
Chips.
Chicken strips.
Yeah. Can't beat it, can you?
Pork pies
as well.
I bet there was little like fancy quiche things, but you didn't have one of them, did you? too posh for you.
Too posh.
Oh no, we jest. I'm not talking about the Euros, of course. I'm talking about the general election.
Yeah. So new government came in last week.
New government came in.
Once again, clarify this all the time. We are 100% apolitical on this podcast.
Absolutely, we are. However, with a new government, obviously comes a stream of new policies, new processes.
Yeah.
So, Commercial Awareness Corner, if you haven't already, you need to know what Labour stands for, what changes they're proposing, what changes could possibly be coming in.
Yeah.
Because regardless of what industry, sector, area of law you're in, something, bet your bottom dollar, something's going to have an impact on you or your clients or your chambers or your firm, etc.
Absolutely.
So one little example, which I can talk about because my ballpark, is Section 21 evictions.
Okay.
So, for those who don't know, a Section 21 is a route used by private renting landlords to evict their tenants. So, it's what we call no-fault evictions, because it's essentially, it's a form you fill in on paper. And as long as you've done everything you need to do as a landlord, the property's got an EPC certificate, you've given a gas safety certificate, basically all the checklists that you have to do as a landlord, if you followed them and you want to end a tenancy, then you can.
Okay.
Regardless of if your tenant's done anything wrong. So the contrast is a Section 8 notice, which is a fault eviction. If there's rent arrears, antisocial behaviour, etc., that's the process that you can use. But if you want your property back or you want your tenant out and they haven't done anything wrong, you can use a Section 21 notice. Can be quite controversial, as you can imagine, because tenants isn't at fault. But for various reasons, the landlord wants the property back. Some of the commentary is around concerns that it's a process that can be abused by landlords because they might use this process to get in a new tenant for more rent. Sometimes it can be, completely innocent reasons. They want the property back, they want to live there themselves, etc. But the previous government had put forward a renters reform bill that was going to abolish Section 21 notices.
Right.
And it was very close to coming through. I think it'd been through 2 readings. Is that what it's called, readings?
Yeah.
Two readings at the House of Commons. But now we have a new government. It wasn't finalised before the government changed over. So I was literally just reading this before, and I think that means that bill is now dead and buried.
Oh.
So although Labour were backing it, so before when it was going through the House of Commons, they weren't opposing it, they were for it. So
both parties were on all fours on this?
Basically, yeah. But now, because it didn't go through before the government changed, it was so close to being abolished, and now it's kind of like, well, what's happening? Is it going to be abolished? Are Labour going to continue that bill? Are they going to bring in a new bill?
Who knows?
Or are they not going to do that at all?
Yeah.
So if you're interested in property law, real estate law, you should be reading up on this, because the Renters Reform Bill was pretty much one of the biggest pieces of legislation that was due to impact the property sector.
Right.
So what's going to happen now?
Very interesting.
And that, as I say, is just one example of a commercial awareness topic that's related to the changing government.
Yeah.
And there'll be many, many, many more.
There'll be many more as well. Even on the criminal side, it sounds like there's going to be massive reform in relation to sentencing and things like that. So,
exactly. So a whole host of things. I mean, it's good in a way when something like this happens, because if you're, preparing for interviews, etc.
Lots of material out there for you, isn't it?
I know. I remember for my interviews, one of the things they'd always say is, something like, what's a hot topic right now? What's something that's happening that's impacting X, Y, and Z? And you can have about 10 things ready to talk about just from the change in government. Yeah.
So, I'm trying to think back to when I was going for interviews. The big things were sort of LASPO 2012. And then costs, because I was doing civil stuff back then. So, costs. So, you had your Andrew Mitchell judgment, didn't you? And then that was kind of superseded by, what was the case? Denton and White, wasn't it? Yeah, Denton and White. Also around Plebgate. Well, Plebgate was the litigation, and then the satellite litigation related to costs. And that was the...
So it's always nice when something big's happening, because that's naturally what everyone talks about. If everything's too calm, it's boring what you talk about.
Yeah, what you talk about, yeah.
So there you go. That is our little commercial awareness corner.
Yeah, there we go. Keep your eyes and your ears peeled.
Yes. Okay, so quickly before we finish, we always take a question from the audience. And as I say that, I felt like a game show host. That's what it sounded like.
Yeah, like the new Anne Robinson or something.
Yeah. Anyway, question. So the question today is, and this is another one from our recent mooting course, top tip for someone who's about to moot, John, and they have never, ever mooted before.
Okay. I mean, there's so many tips out there for people who need to do mooting.
Pick one.
So I'm going to keep it really simple. My top tip, if I was only to give you one tip, it's your first ever moot and you're going in. Just practice. So even if you've got a full speech drafted, just practice it. So when you go in, it'll flow well. And you'll get tip. Hopefully, your judges will give you feedback. So, if you've not used the law correctly, you struggled in relation to judicial intervention, whatever it might be, you're going to get tips on it. But if you just practice, that just helps you, because the biggest problem you've got, the biggest issue you're going to have for your first ever moot, quite naturally, is going to be nerves. And it's because it's something that's new to you, you've never done it before, you don't know what to expect on the day. So the more you practice, and let's say you actually have one or two that go really well and you practice moots, as in when I say practice moots, I mean, at home when you're just reading it in front of the mirror or the wall or whatever it might be, you'll get to the point whereby you'll have one or two that go well, and you know what a good moot therefore looks like, or what you think a good version of that moot is. So it just helps calm you down, so you know what the material is, and it puts that one issue out the way, because you've practiced it, you've been through the material, you know your stuff inside out, so that you're ready for the day. So one big tip for beginner mooters: practice.
Yeah, definitely, because the finer points of the technique and being a brilliant mooter, that's what you learn by experience. So as long as you practice, as you say, then you've built up your soft skills as much as you possibly can.
Yeah.
So even if you lose, you'll probably still really impress everybody if you delivered it perfectly.
Yeah.
That was perfect. You've got all the soft skills, you've got all the foundations there, but that's not how you address a judge. Like, that's fine. You can easily remedy those mistakes, can't you? But
I mean, if it was to give loads of tips, I'd be saying things like that,
Of course, but we said just one.
One tip. If it's only one tip, it's practice.
Yes.
And you never know, because if you practice well, you may come across well. So you might deliver. Your opponent might have a better argument on the law or whatever it might be, but if you presented better, you might score some good points there. Who knows?
We have people coming through our competitions that it's the very, very first time they've ever done it, and because they've practiced a lot,
they do well. They go far. We've even had some people win who've never competed before. And speaking of moots, 7th of September, the National Speed Mooting Competition Autumn Cup.
Yes.
It's coming back to BPP in London. Places are filling very, very quickly. I would expect that we're going to close sign up in a couple of weeks. We keep sign up open as long as there are spaces open. So if you go on the website, you can still sign up. It means there's still places left. As soon as all the places go, we close sign up. So we're getting pretty full. We're well beyond the halfway mark now, well beyond.
Yeah.
And the competition, it's open to anyone. So in terms of, as long as you're not qualified, you can compete. Yeah. So whether you're a graduate, whether you're on a PhD, whatever it might be, you can take part.
I think we've had the odd A-level students as well, haven't we?
We have, yeah.
So if you're listening to this and you know someone who's doing their A-levels, or you're yourself an A-level student and you want to take part, come along, because you'll get a bundle full of instructions. Mm-hmm. The law will be, really clearly set out. You'll get a skeleton argument. You'll get all of the authorities. You'll even get a free mooting guide.
Yeah.
So the fact that you might think, oh no, I'm only A-level, doesn't matter. You've got just as much chance of doing well as anybody else has.
Yeah. So we include absolutely everything for you. So it makes it nice and easy. It takes the pressure off for you. And the whole competition, from all your preparation through to the final, is 24 hours.
Yeah.
You get the bundle the night before. The mooting competition is the following day, 9 till 5, 9 till 6, whatever it might be. And we do a full competition with 128 people, down to a winner in one day. It's fun. And there's lots of other things on the day as well to keep you entertained, just in case you are, unfortunately, one of those people who are eliminated first round. Well, there's other things on the day to keep you occupied and entertained. Mm-hmm. And we encourage all of our judges who are practitioners or academics, we encourage them to give you feedback on your performance, so you'll constantly receive good feedback so you can improve.
Yep.
So 7th of September, If you want more information or you want to take part, visit speedmooting.com. That brings us to the end of another episode.
Certainly
I've enjoyed
does.
it. Have you enjoyed it, Hayley?
Oh, I've enjoyed it like you wouldn't believe, John.
That's good to hear. Listeners, I hope you've enjoyed it too. If you're still with us at this point, then that's great. It means that you've hopefully enjoyed the episode. Hopefully you've taken some...
And you put up with John and I being a little bit giddy today.
Yeah, bit giddy. If you're this far in, drop a comment below saying giddy. That can be today's word is giddy, so drop that in the comments below if you're still listening at this point. If you haven't already done so, I imagine most of you have, but if you haven't, click that follow, click that subscribe button. It massively helps us.
It really does.
So yeah, that brings us to the end of another episode, and next week, episode 16.
And it's getting harder and harder to name these episodes. Have you got someone in mind?
Episode 16. Episode 16 is a good one.
Oh, okay. I was going to ask people to send in suggestions, but it seems like you've got somebody.
Oh, episode 16. That is... there's going to be a few people that episode is named after.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. 16's a big
Well,
one.
instead of sending in suggestions then, send in your guesses and we'll tell you if we're right.
Yeah, send in your guesses.
Is there a hint? What sport area is it?
Oh, right. Okay. Well, this one will probably give it away because, Formula 1... Everyone knows that I named them after Formula 1. He's a pretty obvious driver at the moment. So Formula 1, you're going to have someone there.
Okay.
But,
I don't know.
But the other thing, it's actually not going to be related to a number that someone carried, but rather an achievement.
Ooh. Oh.
Speaking of which, congratulations, Lewis Hamilton, winning the British Grand Prix this weekend. Long overdue. Well done.
Well done.
Well done. But yeah, in terms of hints, the other two, both in the same sport, and it relates to an achievement they've had rather than the number they carry. Okay.
So send in your guesses and we will answer next week.
See you next week.
Bye.